So while that's setting up, oh yeah, while Dan is setting up, first let me, I want to thank all of you who have prayed for me, sent me 1, 2, or 3 cards to me over the past few months, sent me prayer shawls, computer angels, gift cards, etc. All of this has meant more to me than you will ever know. I meant to write a thank you in the messenger each month, but I have this brain thing going on, and I always forget to do that. So anyway, thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. Ready? Okay. Thank you all for letting me speak to you this morning about my mission trip to Biloxi. This year I went with my friend Mary, and she will speak briefly about her experience after my presentation. Today I'm going to point out the things that were the same versus the things that were different from years past, considering the effects of COVID and due to the COVID pandemic. Mary and I headed out for a 12-hour journey knowing that this year would be different. But boy, did we have no idea how different it was going to be. 2 hours away from our destination, we got a phone call from the executive director, Kenny Washington, stating that the entire campus was shut down due to COVID exposure. We would be the only ones on the property. No other group would be there. But still Mary and I decided to journey on. And as it turned out, the campus was not to be open until Wednesday, but as it turned out, it didn't open until Thursday. And as the saying goes, it takes a village, and our village is Batesville, Indiana. And it proves no truer when you ask Batesville, Indiana, you shall receive, and then some. So when I journey to Biloxi, I count on St. John's for the majority of the monetary donations because they are on our benevolence calendar. But the needs are so much greater than what our church alone can do. So I sent a text out to all of my friends, and this list here is what I was able to take in the van picture that you saw earlier. So, and that was what my van was packed with the entire time. And the reason I go in January is because there's such a need for so many warm clothes. And actually it turned out well that we had that van full of clothes because that gave Mary and I something to do the first day that we got there. And that's what we did. We unpacked the van. But before we unpacked the van, we headed out to the store to gather some things that were on the wish list for the Micah Center. And I was approached by this reporter on the first day. This was one thing that was different. Usually the campus is teeming with people and all kinds of activity. But this lady came up to me and asked me a question. She had asked me to confirm a rumor that a homeless man had died the night before in the cold, and that he was just 7 days away from getting an apartment. Of course, I did not know if that was true, but she handed me her card and asked me to pass that on to a staff member to find out if that was true. Well, it was true, so that's something that was the same is that homeless people were still dying in the streets due to cold weather. And here, these next 5 slides, I believe, are all the warm clothes that were brought to Biloxi by our very giving village of Batesville, Indiana. And Mary and I folded each and every one of those and counted them. So who knows if Mary will ever go back. She folded a lot of clothes. On Tuesday, Mary and I were finally able to move on to loaves and fishes and talk to someone else other than ourselves. Something that was the same is that Loaves and Fishes was open for breakfast and lunch and served a to-go meal and Meals on Wheels for nearly 250 people 4 days a week and offer community food giveaway nearly every Thursday. Something that was different was that the usual cold weather shelter was closed due to that building was being used as the COVID vaccine clinic. So the only other option was to use the Loaves and Fishes as building as the cold weather shelter. And their cold weather shelter is if it's 37 degrees. So that's the only way that they open a cold weather shelter is if it's below 37 degrees. Other than that, there is no cold weather shelter. And that only opens to the first 31 people. And it's a huge logistical nightmare, as you can imagine, because there's no cross-contamination of food and sleeping. So it's a kitchen, or it's a dining room by day and a bedroom by night, and everything has to be completely removed and washed. So Mary and I would go and dry the blankets for 31 people. And anyway, because that's something that they weren't used to doing there. So it was something that was getting used to. But one thing that was kind of nice was that a friend of ours from our village of Batesville, the candy man, sent 50 pounds of candy, and we did go and put candy on their cots every night like a fancy hotel. And that was a nice little touch for them. The same thing was that people were cold and needed warm clothes, but because Back Bay Mission was closed, there was no way to hand those clothes out. And because there was no cross-contamination between food and clothes, we did as little as we could to still get the food and clothes out, or I'm sorry, clothes and shoes out to people. So we put little bits out. And we put this much out, and literally it would be gone in like 5 minutes. So we thought we did what we could get away with. The thing that was different this year was Rich was the new kitchen manager. The same is that the turnover is high, pay is not great. I've been in touch with several people from staff from Loaves and Fishes, and apparently Rich is already gone since I was there in January. On the bright side, good news, Elise is the new kitchen manager, and she was there when Mary and I were there. She was apparently she was there as a volunteer, which turned into a part-time position, but now she's the new kitchen manager, and hopefully she sticks around for the long haul because Mary and I both agreed that she was a godsend to Loaves and Fishes. So hopefully she stays for the long haul. These two gentlemen, Willie and Vic, are among the unpaid staff that come every day to help. They are homeless, but they try to do the right thing and show up every day, and they get a foot in the door to a job here or somewhere else. Rarely do I see any help wanted signs in any businesses down there, so jobs are hard to come by, and they're just there trying to get a job. This woman, she was not sad because she got an Ohio State sweatshirt. She was sad because she was definitely suffering from some sort of mental illness. She came in very dirty, and when she got there, a staff member did take her to the bathroom, cleaned her up, got her warm breakfast, and called social services right away, and got her, let her stay in a warm place until help did arrive to take her to a place that could take care of her safely. This is Jose. Every year that I go, it does seem like there's always someone that touches my heart. And this year, it was Jose. He is a roofer who had fallen off a roof and was not able to work. He and his 3 daughters were sleeping on a cold floor at the time. I gave him a small rug that was donated by one of our Batesville people, 3 sleeping bags and 3 pillows. Right there in front of me in the hallway of Loaves and Fishes, he got down on his knees, had tears in his eyes, and folded his hands, and thanked God right in front of me that his kids were going to have something warm to sleep on that night. He asked me to take a picture with him and send it to him on Friday because that would be the day that he would have more minutes on his phone. And sometimes we just don't realize the simple things that people need in their lives. And here's Mary and her friends getting ready to serve breakfast bright and early at 7:30 in the morning. We had to report there at 6:15, which was good for Mary because she's a morning person, but I am not. Here is a typical breakfast and lunch tray. Here is, this was one thing that was different. A staff person had to go through the line for each person as opposed to the homeless person coming through line themselves. That's because there was less contact. And that was sad to me because I always enjoyed serving people through the line because you got to greet them and they would always be so thankful and appreciative. And this way, it was just way less personal. You went and served to them and they were there sitting with their face down and their mask on, and it was just not the same as them coming through the line themselves. It was fun to see the Southern folks put on all the clothing from the Midwest Big Ten schools. It was interesting that no one took the UK sweatshirt. Sorry, Nancy. I'm not sure why, so I'm sorry if there were any UK fans out there, but we had to try long and hard to get rid of the UK sweatshirt. Here we are, go Hoosiers, go Bulldogs. Some things that were the same were the Martha's meals, which was what we would call Meals on Wheels. 65 meals of these are delivered each day that Loaves and Fishes is open to the shut-ins. What was different this year was that they have no volunteers to deliver these meals. So 2 staff members every day had to leave and go and deliver these in the middle of the day, causing a shortage of staff right in the middle of serving time, which you can imagine that was kind of hard. Desperately needed were 2 washers and dryers. Was a washer and a dryer, and that was bought and mostly paid for by Jim and Jane Link of our congregation, so thank you for that donation. And this is a picture of one of 2 chest freezers that Mary and I went and bought with donations from our very giving village of Batesville, Indiana. They are very much appreciated because Loaves and Fishes often had to turn down donations of food due to the lack of freezer space. Now they have 2 more freezers to accept donations. All of these spices were donated by one of our church members who has a passion for cooking, and this is what she donates every year. And as you can imagine, the food that they get a lot of times donated is kind of blah, and so they really enjoy the spices to spice things up. Now it's Thursday, and we're finally getting over to the Micah Day Center, which you may remember is the place on Back Bay's Mission Campus where the following happens. It can be used as a mailing address to receive mail. They can have a load of laundry done, take a shower, apply for jobs, apply for services, meet parole officers, counselors, etc., and computers are available. The goal is to get them off the streets, find a job, and headed on the right path. The thing that was different this year is that normally the Micah Day Center is, like I said, the mailing address, and it's open and they can get their mail. But due to COVID, the Micah Day Center was closed, and they couldn't get their stimulus checks, which you can imagine that did not go over very well. So Miss Deborah and Mary and I got in Miss Deborah's car, and we literally drove around the neighborhood, and Miss Deborah, in all her cute Southern accent, was yelling out the window with her hand out the window, "Hey cowboy, I have your stimulus check. We're open today. Come and get your check." And she did that, I don't know, we were probably for half an hour driving around, and it was quite entertaining. Mary and I were just looking at each other like, are we going to survive this? But I'm glad that we did it. It was funny. And so here were part of our donations. And here the pressure was on. It's not very good. I've never taken a selfie before, but they said it was tradition and I had to do it. There you go. And here's more Mary folding more clothes. And here's a picture of myself and Miss Lucy. She runs like the clothes closet, and she knows what every single person, nope, that person just got a toothbrush last week. Nope, that person just got a pair of socks last week. She knows everything. And she's been there for 13 years, and she just retired, and she will be sorely missed. This is where your money went. We'll leave that up there a few minutes, or a few seconds so you can look at it. Again, I can't thank you enough for your generous donations. The people that are served down there really have nothing, and to be able to come to a place like Micah Day Center and Loaves and Fishes and have the tiniest bit of comfort means the world to them. And I thank you so much for all of your donations. And this last slide is going to be, this is different. These photos are all from last year, and it makes me sad to look at them because I wasn't able to see these faces like in years past. I'm disappointed that Mary didn't get to see their faces this time. Seeing people's faces and interacting with them is the most special part of all to me. That part was missing this year, and I feel bad that Mary missed that part. I can only hope that she will go back again with me and help our friends in Biloxi. Again, I thank you for your donations in the past, and I hope you consider donating today for Biloxi trips in the future. Now, a brief word from Mary. Thank you.
So I am Mary Roerty, and I had the privilege of going with Elizabeth to Biloxi in January. I relocated to Batesville in October with the help of Dan and Elizabeth, of course, my daughter and wonderful son-in-law. But I wasn't sure, what I was going to do. And lo and behold, Elizabeth started talking about her mission trip, and which is something I always wanted to do, and never had the opportunity to do so, and there it was. So I do think, God was guiding me through a lot of things that were going on in my life at that time, and this was one of them. My background was, I was an emergency department nurse for over 20 years. So needless to say, I had interacted with a lot of people who were down and out, who had come upon hard times, various things. But going to Biloxi and seeing these people in their community was much different than seeing them in the controlled, sterile environment of an emergency department in a hospital. It was very humbling to see people carrying their garbage bags. They were lucky they had a backpack with everything they owned in this world. It's so inconceivable. And they never let go of those bags because someone would steal them from them. You can't imagine living like that. I can't imagine living like that. I don't think you can either. The people down there, the volunteers, the staff are extremely dedicated to people. They never give up hope, which is hard to do. One of the things I said to Elizabeth when we were leaving, when we go back next year, I hope that I don't see some of these people, because that would mean that they had moved on and made something of themselves, you hope, anyway. So I was very moved by the fact that before every meal, we said a group prayer. People, when they were leaving the dining room, thanked us and often said, God bless you. So I think if their voices could be heard today, they would be saying, thank you and God bless you, people of your community, all of Batesville. Thank you very much.